We had Amy first, and we got her when she was 9 months old, but she bonded with us immediately. The introduction of Elizabeth into our family changed the dynamics a little bit. When we adopted her, she was 2.5 years old, and she had a lot of trauma that had happened to her. The bonding didn't happen immediately because in that 2.5 years of her life, she had been so horribly abused.
Being adopted and then growing up with our parents, they were those parents that every kid wanted. You know, we were always active. We were in sports. We were always doing activities, camping. They always had us involved in something.
We rode motorcycles. We were on the boat all the time in the summertime. We snow skied in the wintertime. We were just always active.
I feel like on the outside we looked like a perfect family. Our parents really loved us, and they did their best to accept us and show us love. I was born addicted to cocaine, meth, and alcohol, and I never knew my mom growing up. I had a perfect childhood. I had amazing parents, amazing family, and I was never exposed to that until way later on.
My biological mother, she used heroin her whole pregnancy with me, and when I was born, I was addicted to heroin. I was in the ICU withdrawing off heroin before I was allowed to leave the hospital.
It's just crazy how something that was in your blood when you were, a baby can come out later on. I think it has a lot to play in that.
I was 18 and I had a couple minor surgeries that I was prescribed opiates for. And that's really when the disease woke up inside of me, and I got that hunger for opiates specifically. It's crazy how almost naturally I was hooked on it. It was a feeling, like it felt very familiar, even though, I was an infant and I don't remember, obviously, it just felt so familiar, that high. The lifestyle kind of came with it. It kind of went hand in hand for me. That's when I started committing crimes to feed my addiction. I think that's kind of what the disease of addiction does to people. It fills that void. When
I was 18, I started doing the hard drugs, and at that point it was fun. Nothing really bad was happening. I was just having a great time partying with everybody and thought I was living my best life at that point. When I was 19, I actually did end up getting 5 charges in 4 months. So that was kind of the first bottom for me, and realizing that, hey, I might have a problem.
Amy was in her addiction long before Elizabeth fell into the heroin. So with Amy, I recognized what meth addiction looked like. With Elizabeth, I didn't recognize what heroin addiction looked like. So I really made excuses for her. You go through stages of making excuses for them. They're not in control of their emotions. They turn into a completely different person, and pretty soon you just have to face the facts and quit denying it.
Later on, lost my house, and I was living on the street, bouncing house to house if I could find somebody to let me stay for the night. I remember, the winter of 2016 in Spokane, it's like 5 degrees there when it's wintertime. It's very cold, and I'm sleeping in a sleeping bag under a bridge, and it was terrifying because there's people out there that were trying to hurt me. And at that point, I kind of lost connection with my parents because I didn't want them to be hurt by what I was doing. I just kind of wanted to die anyways, It was a really low point of my life.
I would get phone calls from different phone numbers all the time, but I always answered them because if they were around somebody that had a phone, they would say, "Can I borrow your phone?" But I never knew, is this a phone call where they're going to tell me that she was dead or that Elizabeth was dead? And even if they were alive and it was them, there's some kind of trauma going on or something. So answering the phone it caused high anxiety, waiting, anticipating every day. I know today's going to be the day I get the phone call, and one or both of them are going to be gone.
It didn't take long for my addiction to reach rock bottom and for me to become homeless. As soon as I switched from, because at first it was the prescription, so it was legal, it was okay, right? And as soon as I switched from those prescription medications and started getting my drug of choice off the streets, the heroin, just in a short month, I think I lost everything: my car, my house, my job, my son, anything supportive or loving in my life left, and I found myself on the streets. I do remember this one time on Clearwater in Kennewick. I was sleeping in a car wash, and it was in the middle of the night, and I had burnt all my bridges. I had nobody to call, I had nowhere to go, I had no phone, and I just remember thinking, like, is this going to be my life? Is this the rest of my life? Is this what I'm doing? And it was hard. It was really hard.
And I've gotten past that a little bit. I still sometimes get a twinge of that. But, I have friends that they see that their daughter's calling and they get excited. Oh, yeah, what's going on with them today? And it was never like that. It was always a worry, what is going to happen in this phone conversation?
I ended up losing my daughter to CPS, and she got adopted out. And at the same time, my parents had called me one last time and said, hey, if you don't get clean, we're writing you off. I lost a lot of people out there during my addiction, people I cared about, friends, but I always had my parents. No matter what, they would never give up on me, but they were done. I lost the two most important things that I had in my life, and I had to choose, either I'm gonna do this or I'm gonna die. So I was ready then.
I ended up collecting a total of 9 felonies, and it was actually my last prison stint that woke me up. Straight out of prison, I ended up going to an inpatient treatment facility, which was ordered by the courts due to my charges. And that's where I got clean. That's my clean date. It took a lot of charges. It took a lot of heartache. It took a lot of trials and tribulations for me to really wake up and realize I need to start doing something different or I'm gonna die.
And I think as a parent, you're always going to have worries, but that's normal. That's a normal part of being a parent. You're always going to have normal worries, but our worries today are normal worries. They're not about the phone call that I'm going to get. They're not about them being in the hospital or them having to go to treatment right now. They're both in long-term recovery. They're very healthy. They have a very strong support network, and we're part of that strong support network. We all feel that we're really lucky that we are on the other side of this, and we survived this. We have lots of friends who did not survive it. We want to give back, and we want people to understand that you can survive this, that recovery does happen. It happens every day. It is possible. My kids, they were bad drug addicts, and I didn't think that they would ever be able to come back from that. And if they came back from it, anybody can come back from it. You can't lose hope.
My support network is huge. It's my family, my friends, my work, everyone around me, everyone I associate with is genuinely loving and kind and supportive in my life today. And I think just the fact that I've never had that before until I got clean and started getting a little taste of what the good life is, that this is the good life, and how people live without drugs, and once I started getting a taste of that, the support just started to flow in. And I think that is my biggest motivator to keep doing this, to keep staying clean.
My family, I have several friends. I have Safe Harbor, a place I work for now, and it means a lot, and I can't do it without people. I can't do this alone, so I think a support network is so important to have.
I've watched so many of these wonderful people. Their brain doesn't have a stop button. I've always felt very thankful that I've always had this stop button, that I can have a couple of drinks and I have the stop button that tells me to stop. But I have relatives who I can recognize in them. Their brain doesn't function the same way as my brain functions, and they don't have that stop button. And I think that is addiction. It is a brain disorder. It's an area of your brain that is not working with that stop button.
And just driving around, you see people in active addiction with nowhere to go. I talk to them all the time. We talk to them all the time. These people may not have family. They don't have any support. They may suffer with mental health issues, and where do they go? These people literally have no options left.
Both of our girls had to go out of town to treatment. We had the resources and the means to help our girls. I can't even imagine being an addict and wanting to stop, and you have nowhere to turn to in the Tri-Cities. You're in this mindset of, I'm ready to go today, but your today is not going to come for a week or two down the road. That's in Yakima or Spokane.
But when it comes down time to take them, they're gone, because that's the way addiction works. But if it was here, these people would be getting the help that they need.
That's not stability, and I feel like it would be so important if we got a detox and or inpatient treatment center here, because for one, if these people do have families, they're close to their support, If their families are here in Tri-Cities, they get the help they need right away. They don't have to travel. And when they're ready to go, it's right here available to them.
It would be saving a lot of lives. Recovery is amazing. Yeah. It's amazing. It just keeps getting better. When we get clean, things still happen in life. That's just life's problems, you know? And I think first, initially, we have to learn how to be an adult again and be responsible for ourselves again. And, you know, the simple things like paying rent, paying our bills, getting a job. And once we get those things down and figured out, after that, it's just all the blessings in life just keep coming.
You have to learn how to overcome obstacles and never give up, and at some point start to heal yourself from all the stuff that happened to you in your past so you can become a healthier person and a happier person. My life is good today. Even with the struggles I have, I wouldn't give it away for anything.
A local treatment center would be very, very beneficial to our Tri-City community and would make our community even better.